for the economic revival? How are we going to take this forward? Those are the things are more valuable. But the people are fed up with these political parties. Fed up.
The People's Platform.
Good evening and welcome to the People's Platform. My guest tonight is Sarah Ghosh. She's the president of the Chartered Institute of Management Accountants and co-chair of the Association of International Certified Professional Accountants. Good evening and welcome to the show, Sarah.
Thank you. I'm delighted to be here with you.
Sarah, you're the 90th CIMA president. You're a proven finance leader with expertise in digital transformation, expertise gained in multinational organizations, SMEs and startups. Speak to us about what your current role entails and some of the key observations you've had during your tenure thus far.
So I've had the honour of being CIMA president since June last year, and what that means for me is I actually represent the profession and I advocate for the profession across different regions. So I've been on lots of regional visits, and Sri Lanka is one of those. So what I'm seeing in terms of engagement on our membership, trends that are coming through and opportunities for us as well, really sit across three areas around innovation, sustainability and inclusion. So we're hearing from our members actually how technology is starting to really change how we work in finance, how sustainability is becoming much more prominent in conversations at board level and also within organisations as well, and actually how we can start to become more inclusive in the way that we attract people to the profession.
Tell us about some of the most successful strategies that have been used to enable greater diversity and inclusion in the accountancy finance spaces, because more than ever before we're seeing how diversity and inclusion is becoming mainstreamed.
Yes, so we're obviously recognising that we need to do more as a profession. I mean, globally, we're at about 38% representation of women in finance and accounting, and we are actively looking to obviously embrace that and increase the percentage, but also not just looking at one dimension of diversity. There's more than just the gender aspect of it. So we are looking at how we can basically inform people of the kinds of strategies they can take into their organisations to help build that awareness. It's about awareness, looking at how looking at the talent pipeline, looking at how we can have those open conversations about inclusivity within the profession as a whole. And we're also looking at how we can open up different platforms for people to join the profession. So we have something called the Finance Leadership Programme, which is a digital platform, which again opens up opportunities for others to join us in a very different way. And it's very much based on a skills-based approach in terms of how people go through that. So again, it opens up more optimism and opportunity for people.
How has the journey been thus far in mainstreaming this discourse? Has there been any resistance? How have states responded? What is the responsibility of the state in this entire endeavour?
So I think if I just take that up to a global level, we're seeing great uptake of this programme, and that runs alongside other pieces of work that we do around apprenticeship schemes. And for us, it's about how do we attract the next generation to come into the profession, and looking at obviously the Gen Zs that are now starting to come into this environment. What is it that they're looking to achieve? What values do they want to see in organisations? And that plays into the sustainability agenda. You know, they want to see corporates with a purpose and what their impact is on sustainability as well. And they can then align with that to actually want to join those organisations and have a career with them.
Sarah, you're the second successive woman to be elected president of CIMA. Speak to us about the gender dimension of leadership, the importance of debunking myths around women being encumbered to hold leadership positions. And this is a myth that runs through the threads of not just South Asia but across most of the world.
Yeah, I'm fourth female president, and I was fortunate to follow Melanie Kanaka, obviously from Sri Lanka, as the second female president. And she started to pave the way, and we're looking at how we can start to build more of that into our talent pipeline, to encourage more females to see themselves in these senior roles. And actually, interestingly, speaking with CFOs and senior leaders at round table discussions, in some of those areas are quite stark in terms of representation of females. So I think the challenge is, what are organisations doing to have a clearer pathway and to enable females to see themselves in those senior positions, but also for men to be allies and provide that coaching and mentoring as well. It's really important.
Across the world, there is a movement where there's a rise of women taking back their power. Do you also witness this in the accountancy, finance spaces?
Again, from a global perspective, we're seeing different perspectives in different parts of the world, which you'd expect. So I recently went to Kuala Lumpur and presented to a room of finance professionals, and the majority were female. So you get a different perspective then, but I think the real key for me is how do we then ensure that those females do move into the senior roles, and those people are at board level and being able to influence as well at that level.
Sarah, apart from the gender dimension, speak to us about some of the other most pressing issues faced by the global accounting community, because we are in an increasingly polarized world.
Again, just coming back to my three themes around technology, sustainability and inclusion. I think what we're seeing on the technology side is the rapid pace of change, and actually what we need to do as a profession to ensure our members can navigate through that and understand exactly what will change for them, especially around how they use the technologies and where do they sit. So it's moving away from actually collating the data to being able to tell a story from the data. So there's a mindset shift there as well that's really important, from how technology is shaping the way we change the work we do. And the other aspect is around ESG and sustainability. So what we're looking at there is actually the very complex landscape around regulations. So how do we ensure our members are kept up to date with how that's changing, and they can still be those trusted advisors in organisations to understand all that, because it can get very complex, and that's regulatory around ESG, but also around data compliance and the use of technology. So those are the areas that we see opportunities for us to sit in those spaces and be that trusted advisor.
All right, fantastic. We are in conversation with Sarah Ghosh. We're going for a short commercial break. We'll be right back.
The People's Platform.
ජනාධිපතිතුමාගේ විදිහට අපි ගොඩද
මේ ප්‍රතිපත්ති රාමුවත් මේකත් හිස් වූ රාමුවක්
නායකෙක්ට පුළුවන් අවශ්‍යයි නම් සංවේදීත් වෙලා ඒ වෙලාවෙම තාර්කිකත් වෙන්න.
ජානමය හේතුත් බලපාන්න පුළුවන් ද සමහර වෙලාවට මානසික තත්ත්ව වෙනස් වෙන්න.
මානසික රෝගයක් 80%ක් ජානගතයි. 20%ක් එන්වයරන්මන්ට් එකේ ඉන්නේ.
නින්දේදිත් සිදුවෙන ශ්වසන අපහසුතාවන් පිළිබඳ අපිට වාර්තා වෙනවා. මේක ගොරවනකොට වැඩි වෙනවද?
නින්දේදී සිදුවන ශ්වසන අවහිරතාවය නැත්නම් මේක හඳුන්වනවා මේ ඔබ්ස්ට්‍රක්ටිව් ස්ලීප් ඇප්නියා කියන තත්ත්වය.
ජාතික මෙහෙවර සතියේ දිනවල උදෑසන 11ට
බිඳුවටම ප්‍රතික්ෂේප කරපු සමහර දේශපාලන ප්‍රවාහයන් ආයෙනවා. කලාව නාවයි. ඒකෙත් කලාවක් තියෙනවා. ඒක කලාව. ඒ මොකද්ද? කොහොමද ඒක කියවන්නේ?
තරුණයෝ ඉල්ලුවේ සිස්ටම් චේන්ජ් එක. ඒක උනේ නෑනේ.
ඒක හදන්න මිනිස්සු ඉන්නව නැත්තේ නෑ. IMF එකෙන් ණය ගත්ත හැකි. ඔව්. ආර්ථික කඩාවැටීම. මේ සංස්කෘතික කඩාවැටීම සිදු වුණාන් පස්සේ අපි කාගෙන්ද ණයට ගන්න කියන ප්‍රශ්නේ තියෙනවා.
හරි කරගෙන කාට හරි ගෙයිමක් දීලා කීයක් හරි හොයාගෙන ඉන්න නම් පුරුෂාර්ථය හැදිලා තියෙන ජීවිතේ එතනින් එහාට යගේ හියුමන් ලයිෆ් එකේ ගමනක් නැහැනේ.
මිනිස්සු ප්ලෑන් කරපු ජීවිත නැති වෙලානේ හැමෝටම තමන්ගේ ජීවිතය අහිමි.
ප්‍රජාතන්ත්‍රවාදයේ දරිද්‍රතාවයක් තියෙනවා. Poverty of democracy.
බුද්ධිමය සංවාදය බ්‍රහස්පතින්දා රාත්‍රී 10:30 මාවත.
Presidential election has to be held because unlike local government election and some other elections that was postponed, presidential election is very clearly stated in the constitution with the dates.
It is the future, it is the present, the composition of the present and the way how we are building up for it to get into the future.
Nothing to declare in terms of the constitution. We have to have the presidential election this year. In their propagandas, the first priority they have been given to abolish the executive because there was a public demand.
Because these government policies, I think, are not going to solve our problem. And also, the political henchmen are still running these agents.
On the areas where we can thrive through collaboration rather than competing with India.
Streaming live on Newsfirst, YouTube and Facebook channels. TV1 TV for life.
Basil is back. Is the SLPP gearing up for a general election? Peradeniya University student body clashes with the Colombo police. Tear gas and water cannons used against protesters. 2 foreign nationals beaten in Navalapitiya for allegedly travelling in the wrong train compartment. Sri Lanka to absorb 50% of national airline debt, bidding period extended by 45 days. 44 opposition MPs lodged no confidence motion against the Speaker.
TV1 TV for life.
The People's Platform.
Welcome back. I'm in conversation with Sarah Ghosh. She's a president of the Chartered Institute of Management Accountants. Sarah, over and above that, you are also working for the UK's civil service, leading finance teams to enable delivery of quality public services and support the government finance function strategy with a focus on sustainability and technology. So sustainability and technology are your key
part
areas.
Of
Speak to us about this.
So part of my day job, so obviously my SEMA presidential and co-chair role is a voluntary role.
Of course.
What that gives me is an opportunity to actually bring some of the thought leadership that I'm picking up and the insights into my day job. So one of the key areas for me is I actually chair what's called the Sustainable Finance Network in the UK government, and that sits across all departments. And what that does is it brings together lots of people from different organisational structures to talk about what they're doing, how they are complying with the regulation requirements, and to transfer learnings as well, which is really important in terms of that government perspective. And then in terms of technology, looking to see how we can leverage things like Power BI and offer insights in a different way that's much more visual, and then working with the teams to think about, okay, what's the story behind the numbers and how we can add the value from having those conversations with the senior leaders to give them insights and look at actually how things might need to change. So it's really great to be able to have those different perspectives, and that's really important for our members as well, to get those insights and bring those into their own organisations.
From a decision-making point of view, how important is it to have multi-stakeholder, multi-sectoral consultations, and also to ensure that it's not just a top-down approach that is being used, because that's a key issue that we see across the board.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, one of the great things about where we sit is around how we partner with different parts of the organisation, but also externally as well. So we're having to have conversations with suppliers, with external regulators, to really bring all that together, and that's becoming a skill that is much more prominent. So we had a conversation this morning with a group of CFOs and senior leaders, and their focus is very much how can you partner with us to enable us to create the value and develop our business model. So it is about how we build those skills across our membership, and they see that as a priority for them, because it's about how do they get informed, continue to drive those discussions and ask the right questions, actually.
Sure. When we talk about navigating business, we need to navigate business in an AI-driven era, using technology and using innovation. How successful can this be? What are the challenges, and how do we overcome them from a regulatory point of view and also from a knowledge point of view?
Yeah, I mean, for us, our landscape is continually changing, and it's changing really quickly, and technology is a key driver of that. So, we recognise the challenge, but we're also adapting to it. So we know that some of the activities that we currently do in the finance space are going to sit with technology. So we need to think differently about what our roles are in organisations and how we continue to kind of add value. And it is about how we interpret the data, how we tell the stories, how we look to the future, actually. So it's very important that we understand technology is going to have a significant impact on us. And again, coming back to the skills, it's really with us as individuals and members to take that forward and learn more, and work with the technologists to be able to develop tools that they can use to use the data more effectively.
And all of this needs to be done taking into account environmental, social governance.
Yes.
Oftentimes businesses forget this, or it is left by the wayside unless there are penal sanctions imposed by governments. So speak to us about the importance of incorporating this into business.
Yeah, that landscape is changing quite dramatically, and it really is very much driven by the regulations that are in each of the different regions, and organisations are recognising that they need to do more. They need to look at how they're impacting the environment from a social aspect as well. How are they thinking about the diversity element, how they're impacting society and communities. So it all kind of comes together because you need data to be able to understand where you are, how you measure your carbon footprint, and that is a really interesting and dynamic space for us to sit. So we are taking that lead to be the sustainability kind of champions, if you like, in organisations, and ask the right questions when it comes to investments, how organisations are positioning themselves, and it also drives into whether people want to work for organisations. They want to understand their value proposition, and does that align with a personal proposition. So lots of interesting things happening in that space as well, and technology plays a part of that to help us measure and understand what the impact actually is.
The private sector, the corporate sector is pivotal in driving innovation, in driving growth for the economy. How do you view this, and what must, for example, Sri Lanka is going through an economic crisis. Sri Lanka is looking towards enabling and ensuring economic recovery. What must the role of the private sector be in harnessing its true potential?
Yeah, I think just taking that up in terms of a global kind of viewpoint, corporates have a duty in terms of how they present themselves, how they operate, and actually that's really important in terms of the governance perspective. And our role in that is to deliver that ethical mindset, to ask the right questions, and ensure that organisations are getting the right data to make informed decisions as well. So really important that corporations do understand that, and we have a very pivotal role to play.
Sarah, just last year you were named among the top 50 women in accounting in recognition of your work to raise the profile of women in leadership and your commitment to driving diversity, equality and inclusion in accounting and finance. Speak to us about the significance of this kind of accolade.
Well, really passionate about that, and I say it's not really just about one dimension of diversity, it's about all of them. So for me it's about raising the profile, telling the stories of people who are in positions of seniority, and actually having our membership see that and understand that actually this career is a really exciting place to be, and there's some great roles out there that they can aspire to move into. So it is about that. It's about telling the stories, making sure that we talk about some more challenging aspects of the DEI agenda and how we can ensure that there is that equity in the profession as well.
What more needs to be done? What are the loopholes that exist?
Yeah, again, from a global perspective, it's different in different regions. I'm very passionate about how we can encourage women, for example, to return to work. There's some great programs that organisations are doing about career returners, also attracting people at different stages of their lives into the profession. Again, that's through the platforms that we offer for training. So lots that we're doing in terms of that, and also kind of elevating stories, again, is really powerful for us.
All right, fantastic. Sarah Ghosh, thank you so much for dropping by.
Thank you.
Thank you for this conversation. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you again tomorrow. Good night.